Welcome back to Black Bull Podcast. Today we got a special guest with us today, Asinine, street artist of Portland. Say hi, Asinine.
Hello, y'all.
Now, Asinine has a pretty unique style. You've probably seen it around. It's got like a lot of like lines around. It's very contoury but expressive.
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
I draw everything with. I don't pick up the pencil. I just keep going, you know, whether it looks scribbly at the end or whatever it is, I just keep going. Draw mainly faces. That would be my style. I don't know, I guess it'd be one-lined.
Yeah, and they got like droopy bags under their eyes usually. That's a common characteristic.
Yeah, kind of tired looking, kind of sad folks that I'm drawing.
What's the meaning behind that?
I don't know. It's kind of me I've always been drawing. Been drawing. I'm happy when I'm drawing. So I've just developed these characters and they've made me happy. You know, I've been happy with how they look, but I like to have them have emotion. You know, I don't like to just have them straight faced like fellows. I like to either make them like smiley, or sad, or yeah.
Wow, how long would you say you've been doing this for?
Under this moniker and these characters, I don't know. I've only been putting them up for a couple years, probably two years or so. But like I said, I'm always drawing.
You know, it's one thing that I think a lot of artists, they have trouble with is actually developing their style. And it takes them so long to figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
When would you say you finally came up with your style? Because it's really distinguishable and it's very obvious that it's your work when you see it.
I'd say pretty much once I moved up to Portland, probably 3 years ago, I didn't know. I was just moved out of parents' house, you know. Didn't know anyone here. Kind of just packed up my stuff, left, started a new life, and I didn't know anyone. I just sat on my couch and smoked lots of weed and draw for hours and hours. Get off work, draw. I didn't have too much money to go out and, you know, go be social and stuff. And so just basically being a homebody and fucking just. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that.
Yeah, you can.
But yeah, just basically just sitting down, and I could show you sketchbooks from 2 years ago and you can see what I make now from that, but it wouldn't necessarily be the same. So kind of just I've developed a style. I found certain features I liked. I've always drawn people. I've never really been a fan of drawing like landscapes or anything like that.
Still art.
There's something about drawing people that like, you know, so many artists, they can only draw that. They don't want to, you don't want to draw anything else.
Exactly. That's how I am. Somebody told me that one time. They're like, you draw scenery, you draw landscape, or you draw people. That's it. And I don't know. I feel that way. I have no interest in drawing things from observation or
That relates to a lot of different art forms, even photography. I mean, there's the travel landscape photographers, there's studio photographers, there's portrait photographers. I mean, you just kind of fall into one. Sometimes there's people who blur the lines, but I mean, that's pretty common. I mean, I wonder what really causes that. Like, why are people drawn to those specific things, like those specific types of art?
Yeah. I think it's just what like makes you feel more. Because like if people make you feel more, then maybe that's what you want to draw. Or you relate to it more. Sometimes you just like the beauty of nature and of natural objects and stuff like that. And like, or sometimes it's just like what feels better on your hands. You know, like do you get more pleasure out of just like physical pleasure out of drawing those straight lines and making those shapes, or out of like letting your hand be a little bit more free flowing and get those organic shapes in there?
I mean, for me, I'm happy to, like I said, be sitting in the basement just drawing. Like I don't just be at home or whatever. But I guess some people, you know, they want to go out and go find a spot or something and be in the wilderness and drawing or something, or on the side of the river and drawing, and from what they're actually seeing and trying to recreate that. So
where would you say your street art has had the most impact around town?
Where?
Yeah.
I would definitely say just on the east side. The west side.
That makes sense.
I mean, I work downtown. I'm on the west side pretty frequently, but nothing lasts. It's always taken off a couple days or so. At least closer in out here.
Yeah.
It'll last a little bit longer. Definitely be in industrial area. But most impact, I'd say kind of just the artsy areas like Hawthorne and Mississippi and places with the most foot traffic, places where people will go and they're like, they don't necessarily have a destination. They're just going to go walk or maybe grab a beer if they want.
Do you think about that before you put stuff up?
Not really. I definitely, if I'm driving or I'm on the Max or something and I see a spot and I'm like, oh, I'd like to put something there, I'll go back. But there are also times where you could walk around with a can of spray paint and some markers and just, you'll find stuff that will get exposure that you wouldn't have seen driving or something.
It seems like recently I've really noticed the value of spots. And when you go on to like I-5 right here and where it splits to north and south, and they're like that overpass on top, that guy who did that artwork up there.
Yeah. What is it? Savi? I think.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a huge drop onto the freeway.
Oh,
he crawled across that.
Yeah, he's like upside down doing that too.
Dude, that was upside
wild.
down too. People forget that. He's doing it upside down.
Yeah.
I've been wondering about that because I drive past it like almost every day.
Yeah.
Props to him.
Yeah.
Right. I know certain bridges and crazy stuff like that, there are like openings for, service workers and things and people that service the bridges. So there are different routes and stuff if you are that knowledgeable.
Yeah.
You still gotta have that fire though. You know?
Yeah.
You still gotta have that like
such an adrenaline rush.
Oh yeah. You gotta want that spot.
Yeah, and you're probably going in the middle of the night,
Oh, yeah.
and
Definitely.
Do you do stuff other than spray paint and markers?
I'll put up. I very first started making stickers and just printing my own stickers. Learned how to screen print years ago, and it was something that I was like, oh, I can do this, and actually, I don't want to say put a meaning behind it, but personally, I could screen print 100 shirts and like sell those, and that's not really what I'm trying to do. I just like to make my art, and if people like it, then I'm happy to, get it out there. Yeah, put it out there to spread it.
Yeah.
But in the end, I just like drawing. So I was screen printing, making stickers, busting those out, putting them up. I don't know, I guess got more confidence, started putting up like posters and stuff on the street, and then always kind of messed with the spray paint can, but never felt comfortable. So I don't know. It's just it's all a growing process.
What do you use then when you're doing the drawings?
Spray paint, markers. Yeah. But a lot of times I'll make the posters at home. I do a lot of finger painting. I like to
Really?
Yeah. I like, even with spray paint, I'll spray the shit out of some paper, spread it around in my faces, like my contour lines and stuff.
Cool.
And then go back over that with some permanent ink.
Damn.
And then adhere those to the walls with wheat paste. So yeah, I don't know. I have different, sometimes I'll want to go put up posters, or sometimes I'll want to just go walk around. It's always just kind of what I'm up for.
I know when we had Citizen here, it was almost a controversial thing for Ben and Nick when he was talking about using digital, like using like Photoshop or InDesign for his art, or like to lay things out. And you were like, wait a minute, how it's such a counterculture thing. How are you integrating technology into it?
Yeah. Do you do that? Do you integrate technology a lot?
The farthest I go with that is basically just scanning a black and white image.
And that's
that
standard.
I drew.
Yeah.
And if I want to get that digital, but I don't know how to use Photoshop. I'm not very well versed with computers, so I don't want to, if my lines are chunky or something's not right, it's kind of part of the process, part of my thing,
Yeah, my follow-up was going to be like, how is that received within the street art community? Do you see that pretty often, people integrating digital technology into the art?
I do. Yeah, like you said, it can turn controversial a lot of times for certain people, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like where are the values of street art, and like when is there permission for it to change?
Exactly, and at this point, there's no
There's no rules.
There's no rules as much as you want to
but I feel
say.
like there's still, I wouldn't say hard and fast rules, right? But if you like step on some toes, you're not going to be in a good position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's people who go out like all the time, every other night or every night, and are like just constantly trying to get up, right? So I think those people care less about like people using Photoshop and more about just like getting their name out.
Yeah.
Like, and wherever the next like craziest place they can go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think there's just different like levels of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because most like posters, I always think about, let's say Shepard Fairey. He definitely took images and scanned them, and that was all digital, and he still became an extremely famous street artist from it. So, I mean, if he could do it and use digital technology, I mean, but I guess you got to do it in your own
He
way.
was still like getting up in some pretty cool places though.
He was,
like
definitely.
He wasn't like he was just doing it like on the side of the building. Like he was still like scaling and stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
But he had some other like things helping him in that respect. Like he wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like
He also had like huge pieces. That was
Yeah.
the other
well,
thing.
yeah, that's
Massive.
another thing. Like
Scale means honestly everything.
Yeah.
If that's your end goal, you want people to see it, blow that shit up, make it as
Yeah.
big as you can,
right.
and I guarantee you people will see it and people will stop. You know, if that's what you want, then
It's so
The fame.
strategic. It's so strategic.
it's interesting, yeah. But I don't stand one way on the digital or conventional. I personally like to use my hands. Like I said, I'll rub my hands in paint, you know, and let it dry and draw over it. It's just what I like to do, and that's how I have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't personally have fun on the computer trying to like figure things out, and I get frustrated whenever I've tried to use Photoshop for whatever it is. So I guess it's just what you like to do, you know, because in the end, that's probably why you're putting stuff up, is because you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's best to get the best you can out of whatever medium you're using.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you're gonna get different rewards from finger painting than you are from Photoshop or
Yeah.
Illustrator or
I
whatever.
agree.
But like if you're using the technology for what it does best, then you're probably gonna feel good about it either way. I definitely don't have anything against using it. It's just funny. The street art culture, like there's such a subculture there amongst the street artists, and it does feel like a counterculture thing. And so it's funny to think about them using Adobe, because it wasn't even just the technology; it was like specifically Adobe, and that Adobe has like created this monopoly so intense that the counterculture is like, yeah, no, of course I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Like they don't.
Yeah, I see your point.
There's no
Yeah.
other option. Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
you know, it's
Adobe
like
just did it
But it's
so
also
well.
kind of like
Yeah.
you could think of it also as sort of like a fuck you at the same time. Like I'm going to take this and use it to do something that maybe you don't approve of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I can see that.
it's like
the other thing
also a
too is like,
counterculture
you know,
thing.
why limit yourself to the, you know, the tools that you have at your disposal? Like there's
Yeah.
really no reason to, and you know, in his
Sure.
case, like he doesn't like to use computers, and that's completely fine. And some people, you know, only want to create on computers
Exactly,
and then
and
transfer it over.
That's when they're happy. You know?
And so that's kind of
Yeah.
at least how I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't knock computers, because like I would not be able to animate and get paid for it if it wasn't for computers. There's no way in a million years. Yeah, it's the only way.
I think
Yeah.
that some people, and I'm saying this from a little bit of a personal like point or personal, I guess, opinion. I think when creating something, some people like want approval from other people, right? Those are the people who are chasing
Yeah.
putting it on like the back of the billboards, bridges, places where like it's really big, but then other people are just like doing it for themselves. And obviously like like at the end of the day, like we're all doing things for other people in a way, but some people don't care as much and just like the art, like want to paint, want to draw, like want to like need to express themselves. Like I know I
Totally.
need to like,
Yeah.
I can't go like a day without like doing some kind of like drawing or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I just
definitely.
can't. Like I lose my mind. Like I gotta be creative. You know what I'm saying? So some people, that's just the best outlet they could find.
That's that whole mental health stuff we talk about. You got to have that release every now
Yeah.
and then. What would you say is your release throughout the day if it isn't art, or how do you keep yourself balanced mentally?
I try and work as little as I can to
Same.
It's a common theme on this podcast.
I don't know. I work in a fine dining restaurant, so I am constantly treated and talked down to by old, rich white people for the most part, and they are awful. But that allows me to work 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week. So, although I do take that, that shit, I can make more art and I can be with myself more, Yeah. That's when that's like I said, that's when I'm happy, is when I'm just sitting there experimenting or just making art.
Yeah, there's always a trade-off.
Yeah.
With everything. And I think being able to work 3 days a week is pretty sweet. I would take a pretty shitty job for that. Yeah. It still depends. I've had jobs where I could work that little that I still wasn't able to do.
Yeah.
But because just like mentally at the end of the day, I was I just can't do this. But sometimes it's definitely worth it for sure. And, if you can work at a restaurant 3 days a week and live off that, that's not bad.
3 days a week, but also be able to fill your other time with something you actually enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not just like being a piece of shit the other 4 days a week. You're doing what you want, what makes you feel fulfilled, which is important.
And I can't do that just full time and live and eat and do what I want to do. So it's just try and maximize that creative time, I guess you could say.
How often do you go out and spray or paste? Or
say maybe once a week, depending, give or take. Sometimes I don't know. But yeah, I'd say at least once a week or so.
do you ever get like arrested?
No, not yet.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood, dude.
Yeah, seriously.
So,
Shit, you're gonna get arrested.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck, dude, what'd you do, Alex?
Had some buddies get arrested, but wasn't there.
That's good.
Yeah. So
What was their penalty? Like, what happens?
I actually got a buddy. He's right now. He is what do they call it? Ended with some criminal mischief or something, second degree.
Is that Is that a misdemeanor?
Yeah,
I think that'd be a
I
misdemeanor.
believe it's a misdemeanor.
Mischief doesn't sound serious enough.
Not enough to be a felony.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he's looking at a very, very hefty fine, but he can't pay it, so he may be spending up to. I think he can do up to like 2 years or something stupid.
Okay.
2 years.
It adds up quick.
It does.
It adds up really
That's
quick,
insane.
Especially if they
The kind of property damage.
Yeah,
Or
well,
whatever.
that's the thing as well. The property damage, and if they have a file upon you,
Previous offenses.
exactly,
Exactly.
and that
They
can
can
all
stack
just
that
get.
up.
Dude, speaking of all this, can we talk about the penalty on the 15-year-old who destroyed the forest? You heard about
34
that?
million or something like
34
that?
million. So that
Wait,
kid, you remember that
Multnomah
kid?
Falls?
Yeah, Multnomah Falls. So that kid who
What
threw
was it,
the
the
smoke
Eagle
bomb.
Creek fire?
Yeah,
It's known as now, yeah.
Yeah, the kid who threw the smoke bomb or whatever it was into the forest and lit it on fire. The judge ordered that he has to pay the $34 million that it costs to fix that problem.
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
It makes literally no sense at all. And they're like, oh, you can't pay it, you don't have it. So like they're like doing some payment plan, and he's got to do all some community service stuff, which makes sense. But they're literally putting it on him, and he can't do anything about it for 10 years. So he can't get reassessed for 10 years. So he's going to be paying like literally as much as he possibly can for the next 10 years towards this shit. And like apparently, if he like, behaves well the entire time, then in 10 years the court will either pay for all of it or part of it.
Jeez.
But it's just silly. He's too young. Like, obviously the kid should be punished, no question. But why throw something so unreasonable and just silly and just ridiculous?
money.
What kind of message are you sending? You're not sending a good message at all. You're just being like, all right, if someone fucks up, we're gonna. Well, I'm just
It is
saying,
a message.
you're gonna like relentlessly punish them in a way that's unrealistic and doesn't do any good to anyone else. It's like
but
rehab the kid or something.
Somebody's going to think next time, $34 million.
But
People don't
15-year-olds
see
don't
that
really
in like several
think about it.
lifetimes.
They don't think about it because what are the chances that someone's going to get caught again? That kid's so fucking unlucky that everyone knows that he did it. Like, come on. That never happens. That never happens.
People get caught all the time though for dumb shit.
For that though, for starting a forest fire?
Oh well.
I've never heard of that in my life. This is the first time. Personally, I've never heard of it. Has anyone else heard of it?
Yeah, it's pretty rare for them to actually get caught or for them to come clean. Like, did he come clean or did someone see it?
A bunch of people saw it.
He's just an idiot.
Yeah.
He's 15. He's 15 though. I mean, I was an idiot when I was 15.
Yeah.
Let's face
Yeah,
it.
that's the whole point. That's the whole point I'm making. It's like you're an idiot. I agree with restitution and like punishment and stuff, but I disagree with like such a ludicrous. Never gonna the kid's not gonna make $34 million in his whole life.
I think there's
You know what
just
I mean?
like one of
Like-
those like they're trying to make a point type
I
punishments.
think you're right. They are just trying
There's
to.
no way
but
that
this
judge
is-
really thought this kid's gonna pay $34 million. Like,
Yeah, but the 10
no one's that dumb.
dude, it's just silly. It's just silly.
Wow. He burnt down like half the state.
The family's just like, you
Basically.
can have them. Just take them.
Yeah.
There you go. It's yours now.
Yeah. Start
Yeah.
planting trees, bud. That's what they should have him do instead.
They really should. Yeah,
Plant trees.
Plant trees. It's like a real life holes with
Yeah,
trees.
exactly.
Every day, fucking 6 a.m. to 12 a.m.
I
Well,
mean,
dude, I think he
to be
literally
honest,
has, I think he
though,
literally has to do that shit too. I think
like
that's part of
a
it.
huge. Well, I think depending, it's like a huge import. I mean, it makes the state a lot of money. You know,
What does?
the like timber export.
Yeah,
so
that
like
makes sense.
that's. I
Well,
mean,
no, it literally cost. I mean, the 34 million they had like specific numbers for it.
Well,
like
that's what I'm
it was-
saying.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it was
like,
it added up.
it-
It made sense, like mathematically.
right? It's
Yeah,
just like out of control. It's like, well,
yeah. It's just like the kid's obviously
really
not.
fucked up. But
Yeah, kid's obviously not going to pay it. We're going to end up having to pay it as a state, anyways. Like I don't know. Work towards figuring that out. Send the kid to rehab for being a dumbass.
hey, some people need that. Man.
Yeah, I know.
So
But,
what's next on your docket? What's going on with you?
What's going on with me? I'm just I was kind of in a standstill. I wasn't really painting a whole lot.
You showed some work here.
Yeah, I
at our
showed some
creators
work
blog.
here. I had some work up, but that was mainly work that I had made. I don't know, not super recently. So I've been kind of thrifting, finding old shit on the streets, or going to Goodwill, whatever, just getting stuff and painting.
Is that how you get inspired? You just go find objects, and because some of the paintings you had were a little bit of found objects.
Oh yeah. I mean, last art show that I was in, I had 3 windows I found on the side of the street that I painted and then hooked a wire to, and I don't have those anymore. So somebody liked them.
Yeah, it's a cool strategy.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of fun. Gives it a little more character. I don't know. There's so many. I don't know if you know, but canvas, wood, that stuff's not cheap. So
Nope.
go to
Canvases are so expensive.
They're so expensive.
People don't realize
And
that.
Also, what you don't realize is if you want to like actually cover that white background and all that stuff, that's layers and layers and layers of paint.
So
That's
much
not just
paint.
like one little stroke, So I would prefer to get secondhand canvases and stuff and have some texture on them or something.
Yeah.
Something different,
What about, let's talk about paint for a second. I mean, a lot of canvases, they use acrylic paint, but you could also kind of use like paint for walls.
Yeah.
You can use that.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more cost effective because you get more volume, but it's usually not as thick as acrylic paint.
Yeah, the like house paint.
Is it latex? What kind of
Yeah, I
paint
think
is
it's
it?
I think it's latex.
paint? Yeah.
But it's definitely you're not gonna get the colors you want.
No,
But
can't mix them as well.
it's thick. It's gonna cover. You can put it on concrete if you want. You can put it on anything, basically.
True.
So, it's smart for just. I think it all just depends on what you want to do.
yeah.
Like at home, I've got spray paint. I've got enamel paints, which are like we're painting signs outdoors. It's never gonna come off. I'll paint like rusty stuff or like stuff that I'll use that to go over. I don't know, like oil bases and things that they all serve a different purpose.
yeah.
For me at least.
Is there any like application of medium that you've seen that's you saw and you're like, that's different?
I was actually, I saw this after I made those paintings on the windows. I was at a little cafe and it was a big window that was hanging on the wall that had been painted, and the person had drawn directly on the window with some sort of waxy, I don't know, some sort of like pencil that's gonna show up on glass.
Yeah.
And then had painted on top of the pencil. So the first thing, because he's painting on the back side of the window, and when you see it, you see the like pencil looking strokes and then the paint behind that.
It was almost like a grease pencil or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw that and I was like, holy shit, like I love this.
Made you want some more windows, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Made me hungry
Because you had
windows.
the clean line from the grease pencil or whatever it was, and then you spray over it, or
I think
behind it, right?
Yeah, he started working on the backside of the window, did his drawing, his sketch or whatever, and then I think he used with a brush and paint in different colors, almost like, I want to say like coloring book style, you know, he kind of just went over what he had done. And on the backside, I'm sure you can't see that grease pencil anymore.
Right.
But when you flip it around, you see everything.
It gives you the ability to like have layers, basically.
Yeah.
So he's working backwards, basically.
That's
you
cool.
know, instead of like painting something and then going back over it with black lines or whatever.
Right.
That's really cool.
And that made me rethink for a second. I was like, wow, that's cool. I'm super experimentative when I make art, so that's why everything, it's all generally the same content, but I like to just mix it up with mediums and materials, whatever.
It's important.
Yeah,
You got to keep trying things, otherwise
Yeah,
you get
exactly.
stagnant with your style. You don't want that to happen.
for sure. I don't want the same paintings, you know what I mean, to just keep coming out the same and same.
Yeah.
Like to change them up.
Does the kind of risk or thrill of being a street artist attract you to it at all? Like what makes you decide like, okay, I specifically want to use the street as a medium for my art? What draws you to that?
It was, like I said before, I've got probably 15, 25 sketchbooks that are full, just sitting on a shelf at home.
Gotcha. So you were just running out of places to put it.
Not
physically.
even, yeah, not even that, but the same thing. Like I make art and I put it up. I mean, you could go the gallery route and
Yeah, you just want to get it out
push
there more.
for shows. But if I didn't put it on the streets, you guys wouldn't know my art. Nobody would know my art.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
it's like I've been in art shows and things through the streets. Basically, that's how I was given those opportunities. And I guess it was like I've always admired stuff walking around. I've always admired graffiti, street art, whatever you want to call it. But
It certainly makes the city more interesting.
yeah,
that's for
it
sure.
took a
Definitely.
while to build that confidence to actually be like, all right, I'm going to go do this. And once you do it, it's kind of, I know it's cliche as shit, but you just don't want to stop. You just keep doing it. It's fun. Like you said, I don't know if it's the adrenaline, the rush, whatever it is. Yeah.
I kind of like what you said, though, how if you didn't do it on the street, we wouldn't see it. And that's
It's so
so true.
true.
Because I've literally seen your stuff before I met you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was crazy to like see it in my studio. I was like, oh my God, that's him. That's that guy.
I wouldn't have most of the friends I have in this town if I didn't start putting stuff out on the streets.
That's
and
cool.
That's pretty sweet.
It opens up opportunities
It really
in a really
does.
strange, bizarre way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It's given me a voice
Great, man.
that I wouldn't have had elsewise.
Well, you got any other questions?
I don't think so.
You got anything you want to plug or put out there before we sign off?
Not really.
What's your Instagram?
Instagram's Asinine Cries. And yeah, that's all I got for you.
Look him up. Don't you have a site?
If you go on the Instagram, there's a big cartel. You can get some stickers and little miscellaneous items if you want, but
Do it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you guys.
You definitely got some fans over here, so keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate
Keep
you
an eye
all.
out for all of his artwork out there. Click the links, look at his stuff, and thanks again, man.
Thanks for the support, guys.
Appreciate it.
Peace out.